During WW2, how were American men who couldn't pass the military requirements to enlist treated? My grandfather never talked about the war, not because he saw combat, but because he didn't. At 19, when Pearl Harbor happened, every guy in his neighborhood rushed to enlist. Tommy from down the street joined the Navy. His brother Mike went Army. Even scrawny Pete got into the Air Corps as a radio operator. Grandpa tried 5 times. Different branches, different recruitment stations. Always the same result. Flat feet so severe the doctor said he'd collapse on a 10-mile march. Heart murmur that made him dizzy during physical exertion. Vision so poor he couldn't see the eye chart's bottom half even with glasses. The shame was crushing. White feathers left on his doorstep by neighbors who thought he was a coward. Girls who wouldn't dance with him at USO events. Why aren't you in uniform? Became the question that haunted every social interaction. His own father, a WW2 veteran, stopped speaking to him. Thought his son was faking. I fought in the Somme with worse than that, he'd mutter whenever Grandpa limped home from another rejection. The draft board marked him 4F, permanently unfit for military service. He kept the card in his wallet for 70 years, creased and yellow, like evidence he needed to carry forever. But here's what people didn't know. Grandpa worked 16-hour shifts at the Boeing plant, riveting B-17 bombers. His flat feet ached so bad he'd soak them in ice water every night. The factory noise worsened his heart condition, but he never missed a day. He earned more money than most soldiers, sent half to Gold Star mothers who'd lost sons, bought war bonds with every paycheck, donated blood weekly until they told him to stop because his heart couldn't handle it. When the neighborhood boys came home, some missing limbs, others hollow-eyed from what they'd seen, they found jobs scarce. Grandpa used his factory connections to get 12 veterans hired, never asked for credit. Tommy came back from the Pacific without his left arm. Grandpa quietly paid for his prosthetic. Mike returned from Europe with severe PTSD, couldn't hold a job. Grandpa hired him as night security at his garage, let him sleep in the office when the nightmares got bad. The white feathers stopped coming. People began to understand that serving your country didn't always mean carrying a rifle. Sometimes it meant staying home and building the tools of victory. Sometimes it meant sacrificing your reputation so others could be heroes. Grandpa opened his own auto repair shop after the war, employed only veterans for 30 years, never charged military families full price, had a simple policy: if you served, your family. He died at 93, surrounded by men whose lives he'd quietly saved. At his funeral, a retired general I'd never met gave the eulogy, said my grandfather represented the home front heroes nobody talked about, the ones who fought their own kind of war against judgment and shame. That 4F card was buried with him. His medals from the city, the state, and 3 veterans organizations went in too. Turns out he'd been decorated plenty, just not by the military. The cruelest irony? 2 of his grandsons became career officers. We learned more about courage from his rejection letters than most people learn from their commendations. He taught us that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is accept that you can't be the kind of hero you wanted to be and find another way to serve. The men who couldn't pass military requirements weren't treated well, but some of them became better men because of it.